Well, so thank you for joining the performance and our install. And it's a great way to start to kick off 2026. I assume this is the first performance of this year. And thank you for coming in this great weather. We have today Hollow, Viktor Szeri, Tamás Páll, and Gyula Muskovics. And maybe you can say a few words what your role is. I mean, I know that it's fluid, and we'll talk a little bit about the practice behind how you feel the performance, but just to give a brief introduction.
Hi, I'm Viktor, and I'm based in Hungary, Budapest, and I'm moving to Vienna, and I'm a dancer, choreographer, and yeah, that's it. No?
Yes, please. Yeah. Well, I'll ask you more.
Yeah. I'm Tamás Páll. I'm a visual artist in my main practice, but I'm also a developer, game designer, whatever that comes into play in these kind of practices, but also in my own films, installations, and stuff like that. I'm based in Budapest, and yeah, that's it.
As you told, I'm Gyula Muskovics. I'm a writer, curator, as you also perform, and I'm based in Budapest around.
Thanks. And for those of you, actually, I didn't talk about myself. I'm Algeda. I'm based within Tallinn. I'm studying at Tallinn University with School of Digital Technologies, and I'm here on behalf of MODINA project, the facilitator. So it's such an honor to be here. And so in the performance, there was like some hint of like anniversary and rebirth, like we meeting together 7 years ago. And it will be nice to like hear a little bit more about the background, like how you met and how the process started. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah. So we met, I mean, we formed Follow. We didn't form, but we started to collaborate 7 years ago, or 8 now. And we started, there was an open call in Hungary Workshop Foundation. It was called Research into the Unknown. And the open call is for a dancer or dance maker to work together with someone from another discipline. And it doesn't have to be art, it can be science or whatever. And yeah, I had this, I don't know, interest in 3D, and I didn't know what are these things, but in technology. And we knew already each other with Gyula. And this is how, I don't know, like someone recommended me to me, and this is how we started. So we applied for this residency, and we got this found, and then we started to create our first performance, and this piece refers a lot to that one. We call it Phoenix, and this was just like, so we this open call was, so we weren't obliged to do any like I don't know, final performance or anything. It was really like research based, but we did a performance, and during these 6 weeks we were working together. We just recognized like how good to work together with each other, I guess, and we became like really good friends. And then we kept on working together since then, and then I mean, we went to a lot of residencies during these 8 years. We basically spent each year, I think, a couple of months together, like living together on these residencies. And what was very, I mean, obviously, we did take a lot of photos, we did a lot of documentations from the performances, but also from our life, because we became friends and we spent a lot of time together. So there is this huge archive that we
built up, and that's also part of this performance. That's basically the ground where we built Baby, and yeah.
And maybe I just add that from the very first moment, it was liberating that we felt like really free together, and we covered many disciplines. So we had a lot of opportunities suddenly as a group, and this made possible working like only from a very like personal point of view. So we didn't really have to like follow any kind of standard, which is really beautiful and nice. And it's like every time when you heard these words like improvisation or I don't know, this moment when you can become anything, it really refers to this experience of wow, this is so nice. And yeah, our first piece was Phoenix, which also was kind of like the merging of all the things we were individually interested. And yeah, just say very briefly that it was a party-like situation at a fictional club in the near future. It was a little bit dystopian. It was called Phoenix, and people were like literally immersed into this like digital augmented decentralized space. It felt like a party with live music and everything. And yeah, that's when we started thinking about moving to this direction and doing immersive performances instead of only doing our individual projects, which weren't as diverse at that moment. But since then, we all started working inspired by all these performances we did together over the past 7-8 years.
So I think we also saw this like playfulness, or like this having freedom to work together, not like following specific format. I think it was really obvious in the performance. But isn't there any like tension, or like was it there like from the beginning you didn't like have this like reluctance to like comment on each other's practice because you come from very different background, I assume.
I mean, instead of commenting, I think we chose the path of trust, kind of, that we knew, and I mean, I became familiar with Viktor's practice after we got to know each other. So, and I've seen that Viktor is very good, and I knew kind of Gyula from the university, and I knew his practice, and I knew he's very good. So I chose that path. Okay, they are very good. Let's do things together, and it should be becoming very good because all of us doing things which I like. So instead of like correcting the path of each other, we kind of put those together, and it become kind of this additive force in Hollow, I think, instead of sculpting each other, let's say. But of course, like during these 8 years, especially because we spent a lot of time together and also thinking together in these 8 years, that also was very formative for me at this time.
But there were very like challenging moments, especially when from this like super underground mode of operation, like all these like institutions like discovered us and started inviting us, and like we got the huge like main stage, like different theaters. And then I think there was a point when we really wanted to rethink like our own and each other's practices. But then the funny thing is that all the projects we did based on like what we had been doing and like how we could like change, we ended up like doing the same thing. Like which we were just like even more convinced that if Viktor does choreography, that's great. If I write text, that's great. If Tommy does video, that's great. So,
but also I think it's important that we don't really, when we create, we don't really do that. I'm the one who taking the responsibility for the dance part or the choreography or the dramaturgy, or Tommy is the one. I mean, like he's the one who is programming and doing this in the visual festival we can. but like we are reflecting on each other what we are doing, and we are trying to give like directions, or like I don't know, like give like I don't know, hints like what, like how to put together like or like make it closer or to each other's states. Or if it's not, like because there is sometimes like not misunderstanding, but there's this like this
Fiction. No.
yeah, and then we yeah, fine. We just like decide that okay, there is this trust from the past. Or if I don't know, Gyula is telling this that it's gonna work, then okay, why I'm questioning this, or Tommy is telling that it's gonna work, and I don't have to question, it's gonna work. Or and then yeah, I think it's for at least for me, it's something totally different how we work, compare like how I'm working together with dancers, or if I'm together with dancers, because I think like also I don't know, like our energy level, I don't know, like it's really like high, and then we don't really hide it, like making this like super, like I don't know, like yeah, whatever. But I think like this trust, it's really important, but also like this way that you disagree sometimes, and then but then we started to know like what is the role of Gyula, but it's not the role of Gyula. So I can do the thing as well, and then
Yes.
I think it's important.
And also the structure of a project like this is not coming from one of us. It's being built together compared to companies who like has had like who kind of directs people. We are kind of headless in this way. So all of us are doing.
And what I just realized now that the first projects we like did based on like a lot of brainstormings, like I don't know, Viktor's scared of like dying and just in like dark rooms, and Tommy is into esports events, and then let's do something based on that. And now, since we've done like so many we've like sculpted so many like universes, like worlds and like surreal like places and events, we don't necessarily function separately in the creation process, because we have our own past. Like it's been like 7 years, and we have so many memories to reflect on. And one other thing I wanted to add is that instead of commenting, we learn a lot from each other, or just like take each other's roles. But sometimes, I don't know, Viktor really likes to do admin. I like
that more. I like, but
but originally I was more like a curator, like not, I mean, before, although I was more, that was my role in my workplaces and that very cool contract. And since Victor does it, I don't even see the whole thing. Right?
Yeah, but also I think like this thing like we work together, it's really, I don't know, I feel in my practices like how I work separately, it changed a lot, or I learned a lot. And also I think like it's really important that in Hungary, I mean not in MODINA because we had this founding, and thanks for that. But like normally, like because it's not really dance and technical, like, so it's like doesn't really fit inside of one box. So we all the time like sometimes it's nice because we try to sneak in some kind of like open calls. But like yeah, so normally like we don't really have, especially in Hungary, we don't really have founding, and we do it for fun, and also like we try to find, because we are friends and we are trying to find opportunities to spend time together. And I think like I don't know how did you see this, but for us it's important that we are friends, and I think it's also difficult without. I mean, especially on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful with how you like fluently work together. But also like I did a bit of research, and you work with some kind of like artistic methods that you use, like for example creating characters and so on. And I don't know if you want to like elaborate a little bit.
There are many methods.
Yeah, I think it differs between each project because this piece is centered around the character, or at least it seems like that. But we always try to find. I mean, it kind of comes naturally from the process of creating stuff together. because this project didn't start up, okay, let's create this character, but what if we would have a shared body or something like this? I don't remember. Do something like that. And then, okay, we talk on chat, we talk live, we do things together, and then we find a way, okay, there is this thing, we could do a character. We have been doing this for 8 years in each project, and yeah, I mean, there are some methodologies which are recurring throughout the projects that's coming mostly from game design, which has this structural role, I think, in our practices, at least from my point of view. But these methods are different in each case.
I just really like when I mean, usually I'm the one, like if Tommy is the one who's programming, I'm the one who's like creating texts. But I never really, I mean, sometimes maybe, but usually I do it like based on a lot of brainstorming. So like if I want to write a story, like I have like hours long brainstormings with Tommy and Victor, or just Victor, and I really like build in their ideas, and then I send them for feedback, and they don't correct anything, but then they say whatever they say, and then I help change it. But most of the time we don't really change.
No.
We change, like every performance we do is different. That's for sure. Like this, like we will do in Düsseldorf next week, and it's gonna be different because the space is gonna be different. But if we do it like in a year, then like our story will change. So things will be added or taken out. Who knows? Yeah, but that's I think a really interesting methods that are like it's I don't think it's a method, it's just a way of like working that we do things together. And we had our previous bigger show was about like a shared hallucination. It was more about the place. It was titled Aura, and it was based on a series. It was the project we developed for the longest time, for like 2 years probably. We went to Tbilisi, to Warsaw, did research in Budapest. It took a long time, and based on like a lot of experiences and exercises, we developed this like surreal place, which was but it was very similar to this actually, like the concept. And that was the point when we found like a little bit challenging working together. And then we like worked a lot with, I don't know, like how we can make a decision without domination or dominance or dominating each other, and like how, and I don't know, we played with different divination techniques, or like we made decisions based on the weather. So, and it's really built into that project. And ever since, I think we kind of kept working that way, especially building the character, the baby character. It's like a pseudo AI generated creature, and it's really like created based on whatever we said in the past to whoever. And we have this like chat, like a message chat, a messenger that we created when we got this like first presidency, that we were talking about the project, and we've been like talking there like every single. That's I think the most constant thing in past this lives. And that like it's also mentioned by this character that like the character's memories are from these chat entries, and that's true actually.
Almost like this, you said like it's from three of you, like the history of as a collective, but also something that as an audience we can project, and somehow like it's provoking, or like I don't know if that's your point to like criticize technology, or is it something to provoke our way of life, or is it something more like genuine to, or maybe it can be both, like genuine to your history that became something that as an audience we reflect. from ourselves. I don't know if that's the point or maybe not.
And we shape our path. We we decide what history we create very consciously. So like we consciously work with different topics such as different forms of technology. So that there's definitely an intention to criticize certain things.
But also, I think like in this piece as well, but also in the previous pieces, I think it's really important that this example of what Gyula said, that I was interested where I was afraid of dying and the sport and dark rooms. And so we start from here, like we're curious, like what is our curiosity separately, and then we start to or like try to merge or like find some like I don't know common ground of this. And I think it's really, for at least for me, something really unique. What we do is that we try to create a word for this. So we try to build up. I don't know, like I know this first performance. It was more like a underground race club, and this overall was a place, and it looked like I don't know. Sauna, a steam room, and I don't know. So we try to all the time like bring the audience instead of another word or dimension or something.
But all these different perspectives are present.
Yeah, yeah. So and after there are these like technical things which exist also with lights and with everything, with dramaturgy, with props, with dance, with my body, and with programming and augmented reality and everything. And then, for example, here it was like we had this idea, what Gyula said, this create something from this, or Tommy had this idea to create, or I don't know who had this idea, that we have this long history of chat, and let's take this out from the messenger and create how baby would speak from this chat history. The way how we speak, each of us, and merge it together, and this is gonna be the style of the baby. But it didn't happen because of some kind of privacy reason or something. Yeah, technically didn't happen. But then, do like imagine.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it out.
Also, this baby character was like meant to be like using AI or some kind of technology to like.
There are some Easter eggs inside the body of baby. Because what I don't know if you mentioned that. I think you mentioned that, but we work also across different projects. So this building of worlds also not for one project, but for multiple iterations of that building process. Basically, we also move between the performing arts scene and the fine arts scene a lot. So there are a lot of like trickle downs and trickle ins from different ways how we present this kind of world building that we do over the years. And baby is also kind of this manifestation of this process, because on the body and the costume of, I mean, the digital, the avatar of baby, it carries a lot of like photo documentation, but also part of props that we use, like physical props that we scanned or like created like laser cuts and stuff like that. And also, this is not the first iteration of how baby looks, because it had like the original, I mean the first look basically, or like first body, and it was very different. It was also featured in the film.
Two other bodies.
Yeah, it had, yeah, two, yeah, yeah. So it is the first, third, and who knows what will be the last.
And regarding the speech, it's yeah, we had this idea to like take out like chat entries and like merge them together and create a narrative. But instead of that, I decided to read a monologue, which kind of sounds like it, but also resembles when like an AI hallucinates. And then I found it really interesting that you can tell a story in a way that's like not entirely correct, or like I let this character make some mistakes and like have some like very like arbitrary or stupid conclusions about us. That's my take on it, actually. And I think it's kind of connected to our way of working with technologies, because we don't really like present technology or show what the technology can do, but we usually like use it or appropriate it or build it into something that's like not necessarily about technology. Instead of, like wearing these like sensors and like showing that something's happening in the school, what's happening in the space. Well, that's actually the base of our project, but we're more interested in like, I don't know, like millennial cults or and how that relates to technology today.
Yeah,
please.
we had also this other performance this Aura, and we like to create a whole like world, like I don't know how to call like not augmented, virtual reality. Like we like one of the performers was wearing VR glass, and it was projected on the screen, but it was much more like he's inside of this space and how the body or what it changes or what it creates in the body and how movements. So he had some tasks to create it or like to do in this virtual world, but we didn't ask the people, so we didn't entertain them, but to show like how I don't know it looks like from the outside. I think for me it's also like some kind of like critique or I don't know with the tech or I don't know.
I mean, it's showing the different way
Yeah.
of how technology can be seen, maybe, or like can be shown. Because at the end, I mean, in this case, it's it's a VR glass and the projection, and what he was doing is kind of drawing the physical space with his movement rather than immersing the audience into this bubble.
Yeah, but also like I don't know if I go out in Budapest and they are showing the history of Budapest and I see that they are like these people, like this group of people, they are watching the bridge and I just didn't understand what they are watching in the VR, but I see that they are doing this like weird stuff. And I think like it's super interesting from I don't know from outside.
And also these, these elements
like,
of the technology that how you use actually in this case VR became part of this choreography of the performer. Like,
Like an interaction with this.
Yeah. Rather than interacting with something, it was like, just.
But also like in this piece, you had the part that you're using the phone with the AI, and I'm really curious, like for Viktor, like is it something that conditions your choreography? I mean, that part was really like fascinating, and I don't know how you created together because I think there's like kind of duet of like working also with Tamás, you like operating camera, so it's almost like a duet or like with a program as well, so like three of you like working together.
yeah,
But that scene actually comes, it's the recreation of one scene from our first performance.
Yeah,
Which was totally like, and when the first time it happened,
because like that was so
that was, but it was completely improvised. Like we had these ideas and we're like, let's see what happens. And like also the mask, like the costume I'm wearing, that's from the first performance. And it's really DIY. It's like the horns it's like a doggy mask. It's called devotion, and it's the horns are these like toilet paper and like duct tape, and it's still all there. That first 7 minutes, and yeah, like Viktor did that dance like independently. Tommy went closer independently, and that's how the small.
No, but in the past, and also like how we started, I think it's also really interesting that, for example, when we started filming, it was Tommy showed me that how does he create this augmented reality. He also brought this stuff, the motion captures, and I was dancing, and these characters they were also moving how I move.
Like mirroring Viktor.
But then we didn't have money and we didn't have this really professional prop or like these techniques.
But also we took a look at this library of like pre-made motion. Like
Yeah.
animations.
Yeah, and also we just recognized that, and also we didn't have time, but we had to be fast. And then Tommy showed me this, and it actually became like much more interesting that why we teach something with my movement instead of like I'm learning from this animation. And then I think like it changed a lot in my body also that you know it's not like or like how this like I don't know like this virtual characters move or this 2D something and then yeah, so I think like we do a lot of like this other way around.
Yeah.
And but this time you were using like AI filter.
Yeah. In that performance, in the first one, it was an AR game basically, and how I moved between basically Gyula, Viktor, and the audience. It was kind of like this game of catching one of the avatars in the virtual game, but also catching the audience or Viktor or Gyula, or they catching me. So it was kind of this, this play. In this case, it was also kind of like that, but it was much more abstract way of operating, kind of like a camera operator. How you capture document or frame a scene, and the AI layer is kind of detached from that kind of experience of directing the movie, because I don't see it all the time, but I know something is happening, and the flashes what I get from seeing the projection kind of guides how also I move to a face or I show a hand. So it's a bit more like knowing this how this AI model kind of reacts to different patterns.
And yeah, and I'm really curious, like for Tamás and Gyula, like how is it for you to be on the stage? Like, is it already like something you're comfortable, or is it something that?
We have been doing this for 8 years, so.
But you're already like on the stage in the first collaboration.
Yeah.
But also, I had been on stage before Hollow. Tommy had been on stage before Hollow. We had another collective called Rights Network, and they did immersive spaces. It was more like visual, but they were performing or like live gigs.
Yeah.
So I think it's like Victor didn't have to force us.
Yeah.
And we also don't really like when this time we have, because there are some theaters which are like bigger and there are places where you can hide. And this time I was like, I want to see it.
Yeah.
So I like to see what's happening and then participate.
And how did you feel about the audience in Tallinn? I don't know how this was the third place you're performing? No, second, third? Fourth? Oh, okay, already. And how was it compared with the? I mean, maybe probably the Budapest it was very different.
It was very different.
Yeah.
But everywhere, every time. Yeah. I think it's more like the setup, like how we set up the space and how we create like how like this structure. For example, here it was really nice that Gyula was facing that direction, and then you were sitting in front of the wall facing to his front, but then the video started from there, so it had to switch, and then it started like I don't know, but it's some and but it was like everyone were sitting, and for example in Budapest it was like everyone standing all the time, and so it's like different, and also it creates the space like how people they place themselves.
But here we kind of wanted people to sit because I
Yeah.
don't know. I think we were also like it was the fourth show, so we were more relaxed. We didn't didn't want to push anything.
Yeah.
And it felt nice, and I think we could go with the audience, and the audience could go with us.
It was also very playful, I think, in part for me at least.
But the one in Budapest was really different because here are people who so pieces which we are referring to like years ago, and in Budapest almost the entire audience was familiar with our past, and like that's a place where people start to cry like, oh my god, fuck you. And we also involved, I don't know how many people, but like I think
8 or something.
8 plus us, everyone wearing costumes from like earlier shows, and then live music, and more improvisation. So it was different, but we cannot do that everywhere because
But also this format, I think it's interesting for us as well, because here we are operating everything, so it's very different, but it's not, not less, but it's different, and I like it.
and it kind of brings us back to the beginnings because like,
Yeah.
for I don't know 2-3 years we did everything, and then we started to get like grants and everything, and we also like wanted to become bigger and like work with I don't know 4 dancers and they had choreography and but we were still present as like technicians or something, constantly like changing the set. But this one is finally another show which we can perform anywhere.
Yeah.
Within any. We've done a lot of performances with these projections and everything in like abandoned basements. So like really even during COVID when you know venues were closed, theaters couldn't offer opportunities for artists to perform or people to consume art. We did like a lot of events, like paying attention to like not taking it like dangerous for so we've done so many things. We did like bigger shows, and this one is I think again a show that we can do in different formats and smaller scale, bigger scales.
And I don't know if you're already, I mean, you are still touring this, but I don't know if you're already working on something like new as a collective. And I mean, if so, or if not, like what you like, if you like when you're working on a new performance, would you like include AI or like technology in general in the performance, or like how do you see it?
I mean, it's
To be honest, I hope not, but I mean, like in my like personal and professional workflow, obviously it's super embedded, but that's why I would like to not say that it's super embedded, but
Because you want to change the workflow, or what do you mean?
no, just try a different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, but can it be like different, like model or different AI tools, or like, so this in this one, like we have this visual,
Yeah.
use of visual tool, but like for example, like large.
Visual, but also behind, I mean, what we were talking about, for example, for the text, there are a lot of like research that is not present in the actual piece, but there is a lot of like background work, which involve obviously a lot of different technologies which are out there, like ChatGPT, all of us using it, and all of us have experience that we draw from. But yeah, I'm. Yeah, let's see. What we really use.
But what is interesting is that we've been creating art projects based on our previous projects and our own past and like potential futures and like present.
Mhm.
And so we have a world called Aura. Now we have a baby, which is literally baby because what
It can grow.
it can grow and
It can.
it can also die. Yeah. So as if because we weren't like the initial concept was that like we imagined ourselves as a family, like how an art collective leaves something for the world, and like instead of a child, instead of an actual baby, it's more like an artwork. And how the artwork can live its own life. I don't know. And that was the point we departed from. And I don't know, we have a few ideas which are like continuing this thread of like focusing on us and like our potential trajectories together or separately. I'm also probably moving away from Budapest, and I'm certainly moving away, but I won't I'm looking for a visa. I don't know when, so I'll change things, but
So we use Zoom.
So we will use Zoom.
And that's like we created this piece. It was because I think it's for us it's really important that we are together, and also Modina is for a duo, and so Gyula, we wanted to involve Gyula, but he wasn't there, so we got this opportunity to be 6 weeks in Ljubljana, which to be honest for me it's super. So I felt super lucky, but also at the same time super annoying that all these EU fundings, when you get it, it's all the time you have to be somewhere else instead of like being home, which also like can be like super inspiring, but sometimes can be like super annoying that you are somewhere else and you don't know where to buy the props, where to buy the textiles, or where to. Sometimes they're even more expensive, and then luckily Ljubljana was closed. Budapest. And I had a car, so. But and we had this. So Gyula was in New York during the not the creation process, because after we were working on the piece like 1 other month or even more
On the
But, like,
prototype
on the-
creation.
yeah, when we did this like researches, like how to get the from method, like all these things. At that time we created a video, but not this one, but a prototype. And Gyula wasn't there, so we had this time difference, so we all the time like had to work with Tommy during the day, and then at 6 or 5 p.m. we had this Zoom meeting. So I would rather use AI and ChatGPT all my life than Zoom. But of course, if you are moving, then we're gonna use.
But for sure, you will be working as a collection. Like,
I think that's it.
I'm very curious. Yeah.
We'll have we have a digital art project which we created for a Berlin-based institution, and it's also like based on our past. Based on our fictional past actually. It's gonna be touring across South America for 2 years. It's a project titled "Are You for Real?"
The project that
It's not a
invited us.
The project that
Our
invited
project is
us.
called The Compass.
It was called the Compass, and it's like a series of AR portals that like lead into that different.
It's a
worlds.
web AR game.
Yeah, I think that's actually my favorite project. But since it's also very interesting, it's like I think a really nice example of a digital immersive like theater piece, because it's like a guided, like there are these huge AR sculptures and you can climb in and there's like a narration and music and everything. But since it's online, everybody's like, it sounds interesting, but nobody like
Never.
takes the time. Like none of my friends, none of our friends.
But you
it
can
will be
do it
touring
online.
in online in South America. Yeah, and it was a big surprise that they just came up with this idea a couple months ago that we're kind of touring this like whole project, not just our game. So that's you happen to be there. Look around maybe. Look around. I mean, I don't have any like further information about this at the moment.
Shall we open the for questions? Yeah. If you have a question, please. It's the chance to ask artists. Or is everyone tired?
Is Hollow in a BDSM relationship with the art scene? What is the BDSM reference? Just referencing your own work, or is it something else?
Actually, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so like when we developed this narrative and I wrote it, it was my input because I was on a Fulbright scholarship in New York, and I was researching the like emerging queer art performing arts scene in the 1970s and 80s in New York and San Francisco. And I started collaborating with an older artist who had a really interesting history in the BDSM scene back then. and then in a way, this like first piece where we are constantly referring to also had this the Minotaur mask was from that piece, and that's also connected to this like BDSM style, but that actually comes from like the Greek mythology, that character, because the Minotaur is very often like presenting like gay iconography, and that piece was about like a queer, more gay club, and like also the internal hierarchies within the gay scene. And we chose this like very famous, very like attractive monster to like talk about the loneliness and the of this like creature, and like a lot of gay men within the labyrinth of not just Crete, but online dating apps and I don't know, camp sex addiction and so on. So it's referring to our actual past as a collective, but it's also referring to the history of like queer performance art and video stuff.
It's also interesting with this name baby, because it's not what we would associate or like what we would
No.
imagine.
But also, yeah, and the sound is like the voiceover is a friend of us who is also a queer performance artist, also based in New York, and yeah, they could really go with what we were proposing regarding the like dominatrix tone of voice. So, but many of these things are very intuitive, and that's what we all enjoy. So of course we have these concepts, and we really do, but then most part of a piece comes from like intuition. So we will see where this goes. Yeah, of course.
I actually I was wondering about the idea behind consuming a cake together.
Oh.
Because it's consuming, but you're also sharing, and I was actually tasting the cake. I was actually wondering whether it changes with every performance or not.
The cake.
The
Yeah.
cake it does.
Yeah.
Can you
The
tell
recipe
us
and
more?
everything. Because
Here
because
it's
you-
really good. The body of three of us.
That is very interesting. The one in Budapest, we know an artist who's like a cake artist, and that was really crazy, and it like this like black blood leaked
Looked like a
out from
sculpture.
everything. It was more like a sculpture. It's different, but the idea is that like that's the point when we invite. So this character is speaking to us, but then that's the point when we like switch the perspective, and it's actually talking to all of us. So everyone can be part of this moment.
And also that's where kind of the birthday party starts. And yeah, so sharing this cake is part of this this mode of inviting people into our world, this immersion, where we create this event or this situation or place where instead of using very strict LARP or like role-playing methods that okay, you are this, you have to build your character. We invite people into a situation where you are yourself, but still you become someone else through this invitation to participate in an event or something that we kind of fictionalized.
Yeah, but also after when you take the bite, after this like video starts and the dance, and I'm changing to this mood, so it's a bit like no, it's also like you are taking something and then you are going into somewhere else.
But that's the main idea behind us working together, because when we did our first performance, which was Phoenix, we realized that it's much more fun, much more present, and much more powerful than just like talking about something. We really felt alive, and the audience really felt alive too. And that's the quality we had been looking for. And ever since, we always try to do something that creates a similar experience. And that's why we, as Tommy mentioned, we work with a lot of live action role playing techniques. Sometimes very like openly, sometimes it's really a game, and there are different like tests and like pre-show processes, like people are grouped in different, I don't know, yeah, groups on, I don't know, different tests online, and then by the time that the performance starts, like, I don't know, a few weeks later, they already have a different identity, different from their actual identity. So sometimes it's like that, and this time we were more, it was more like a smaller scale.
Visceral.
Yeah.
But also, like, I wanted to add that it's almost like a choreography to like not directing, but like as an audience member, you are just like naturally being part of it. You stand up, you clap, but you're not noticing that. Let's say, and I think that's like very fascinating. How like you just
But
invite.
it's not always easy, and we always try to come up with some ideas that are not risky, because sometimes this doesn't happen. And yeah, like sometimes we have a show, let's say in Berlin, where it like totally works, and then we go to Prague and everybody's like, because just, or Vienna. And I remember once we had two shows at a festival in Austria. The first one, people were like standing because we told them to like don't leave their position, but
That
we,
was also
but it really,
after COVID, no?
it was after,
No, it was before
It was
COVID.
after-
Just
No, it was
like
after COVID.
Yeah.
but our show kind of resonated with COVID.
Yeah.
But then like we had another chance, and then we were like, oh my God, we have to change a lot of things, and then like everybody was moving and immersed. So yeah, here it works.
Yeah. No, but everywhere works, just it's different how people they behave. So when you catch someone's hand or grab, and then you bring them somewhere, and they think, and you put this balloon or something that in, for example, Austrian, I don't know, festival, they thought that they have to stay there because they have some, I don't know, something to do there.
And I
don't know, in
like
Burnley.
the drinks, and I was like keeping it.
Yes.
It's so magical that it's gonna be fun.
And in Burnley, you know, you give the drink, and then I don't want it.
Yeah.
What's this? What's inside? And of course, it would be super. And this is why it's really nice, MODINA, that we have chance to perform in more places, and we have time to adjust and to rethink like how we work with these, because it's like also the audience, they are part of the whole. And normally this is how we work. But when we do once, and then that's it, and then we cannot reflect on it, on the previous one, that to do it better or something, because. So I think that's pity in the this I don't know, performing arts scene, that you don't really have I don't know, the chance to.
Yeah, it's almost like project based, and like you get this done, and then they don't really follow up.
Yeah. But then like what we do is then I start with yeah, it was. But so this like first iteration of Baby was a video installation that we had a like a not solo show, but like we had a show at a gallery in Košice, Slovakia, and we could do whatever we wanted, and then we knew that we were gonna do Baby for MODINA, and like that was an opportunity for us to like create something that starts the whole idea, and that was the first. Actually, the story the character tells is what happened in that video installation. So, yeah. So like yeah, sometimes you don't have a chance to like perform it ever again in the theater, but then maybe you can do a soundtrack or or an installation or a lecture. I don't know.
Video game.
Video. And we can do that because I can lecture, you can do the performance, so we can do the video thing. So that one.
Yes, yeah, I have a question for you. So this project, and I think it's a bit your way of working. You tie the project you're working on with previous projects, and you create this kind of interlaced configuration that you reuse approaches that you've used before, and then you build upon them. What do you think this project brought new to you that didn't exist before, if any? I mean, it's also okay that you think that this is like more of a synthesis project that didn't have so many new things. But if it has something new, what is it? And do you think it will continue that in the next project, going to your 9th year, 10th year, what will you do you think you will be reusing, let's put it that way, of Baby? What is unique in Baby that you're gonna take into it? It can be technical, it can be artistic, it can be anything.
I mean, before Baby, we had this kind of long ongoing project for the archive, where we were already applying this logic of reusing and rebuilding stuff from our past, creating new projects in this way, and like synthesizing stuff.
Past that were hidden, so like we had a show like this, and there were a lot of other things that nobody ever saw.
Like kind of dismissed, unseen, whatever material.
Or like we would say, like actually the Baby character knew that other one because they met somewhere. So like this like big stories that
Build a bunch of them.
on the periphery. Yeah.
And it's kind of on the same logic, but this, I think, with Baby, for me, at least, it was more like looking at ourselves as a collective rather than looking at our projects, maybe, which I think it was quite nice to do this, and the production of it, I think, also resulted in this more long-term project, maybe, that this creature or this artwork can have like this life force that drives itself forward in the future, maybe, like a baby growing up,
And grow,
growing up, like whatever, yeah.
But also for me, because this initial excitement and this like moment when everything is formless, it's really hard to re-access. And if it's possible at all, because you cannot be at the beginning of something once you are like I don't know, 7, 8 years have passed. And I think in this sense, I think it's a brand new project, and it's about this experience of like not being able to access like the first moment. And but in a way, like this show like brought this back to all of us probably. So I don't know, we're just like playing with this, and that's why there's this like choking scene, because that's also like something like pleasurable in a way for some people who like it, but it's also about pain, and it's in this very like there's like very like in line between the two, and then like when you're like chasing something that isn't there anymore, but actually it's there. So it's, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, because I think the whole idea, at least in my head, is too abstract, but it like tries to capture this moment we're at regarding this, and I think it's really important. Like I think it was a good experience. I mean, especially it's the production part for us as a collective. And even though it's about, in a way, it's about like ending it, that's art, and it's not always the truth.
But as I said, it's a rebirth.
It's a rebirth, but like first you have to die. So
So, yeah. Any final words from you?
What's in the drink? What drink is it?
Gyula created. Gyula
That's what I said.
Then thank you so much. And MODINA focus continues and tomorrow Saturday to the Reno installation pre-entry.
Yes.
And on Saturday there's going to be a workshop. I heard it's going to be a great workshop. And lecture by Nuno, and then it will be this is Unreal at 6. Yeah. So please check it out and see you tomorrow.